Hello, everyone. It's so good to be here with you guys today. Let me pull this up here. It's been a long day. I completely understand it's been a long day, so I'm going to make this hopefully as fun as possible so that you guys can have a little fun with your learning, just like I try to have a little fun with my students and their learning as well. The slideshow that I have for you today, I have available for you on my website, and I will share that website link with you in just a moment. And anything that you find on my website, any other conference presentation, anything, there's lots of stuff on there. You are welcome to use, take it, share it wide, far and wide. I know a lot of people will say it's my stuff, don't share it. Don't do that. But I love for my things to be shared because I don't want to create something that becomes stagnant and just kind of sits there. I want it to be used and learn and more people to learn from it. So today we're going to be doing some making science fun. So this is me, Nancy Pinchev. You can find me at nancypinchev@gmail.com. My website is nancypinchev.com. This presentation is there under the 2020 presentations. It's the one up at the top. And every Tuesday, Monday, every Tuesday, it's officially Tuesday that I send it to my staff, but I usually post it on Mondays on my blog. I have a blog that comes out where I just take some of the great things that I've seen on Twitter or Facebook or through email or people sharing things with me. And I post them on my blog. And so I have some general tips, some online and hybrid tips, some tool specific things. And I also try to put in some funny or inspirational pictures to go with it. So that's my blog. It comes out, like I said, every Tuesday. I send it out to my staff, but I usually either publish either Monday or Tuesdays. I am on Twitter. I would love to connect with you guys as well. If you are on Twitter, I am at Pinchavable. I'm also on Instagram. Instagram is where a lot of our families are for my school. And so my school asked me to start sharing on Twitter, on Instagram, as well as the Twitter where I share most of my professional stuff. So again, my name is Nancy Pinchev, and I am the instructional technology coordinator for the lower school at Sheck Khalil Community School in North Miami Beach. And I also right now with COVID, things kind of get thrown up in the air and you just do whatever, you need to do. So normally I teach a social studies based STEM class where we do social studies based projects, kind of like it's called social studies lab, kind of like science lab, but we do it with a STEM focus. So we're doing movie making and we're doing graphing and math activities, and we're doing some engineering projects, and we're creating with Legos, and we're using technology, and sometimes we're just using our hands. So that's normally what I teach, kindergarten through 5th grade. And then I teach a coding class 2nd through 4th grade. However, right now I'm teaching science to 3rd through 5th grade because we had a 4th grade teacher have a baby. And so the science teacher moved to take that class and I moved to take science. So you never know. But I always have a little bit of science in with my social studies too, because I feel like the more you can connect for students, more you can connect the dots, the better off it is overall. I also have a program called Girls Building STEAM. And if you want any information on Girls Building STEAM, I would love to talk to you. Feel free to email me and I'll be glad to share that information with you. Down below here, you can see the link for the feedback for the conference. So I would love for you to share any feedback you have. So here's the gist of what our presentation is. I took this straight from the thing that you saw, so you would choose this session. So this is what we're going to be doing today. We're looking at some maker activities in science. I'm going to show you the current projects that I have going in 3rd, 4th, and tell you how they're going so far. I'm going to give you some literacy ideas for science. And ways to share the learning. And then hopefully we can connect through Twitter and other ways to continue the learning after today. So this presentation is actually from Slides Mania. I love Slides Mania. It's free. That's I love anything that's free. So Slides Mania is this wonderful woman who I've never met, but I love her. And she creates all of these different templates for slides or for PowerPoint. And she puts them out there. Anybody can use them. She just asks that you don't turn around and, make something and then sell it. And give her the credit, leave her stuff on there. So like over here on the side, you'll see that it says slidesmania.com. The last slide is her slide as well. So this is actually an interactive slideshow that when you're doing it yourself, you can just go to this page and click on the topic that you want. I'm just going to go through it like a regular slideshow for this presentation, but just know if you just wanted to know more about collaboration, you could just click the collab button and you'll get straight there. So hands-on. I really believe in letting kids create art and build so that they are learning more, and then to share their learning by creating an art or other things so that they're making their learning visible. I fully believe this, that Maker has been the best thing. I've been teaching 22 years now, and I truly believe that Maker is the best thing I've done in my entire career. I fought this whole Maker movement and the idea of Maker for a couple of years. I saw things at conferences and I was like, oh, yeah. And I read articles. I'm like, yeah, that's great for them. But I don't think I can do that. And I finally said, okay, we'll try just a little bit. And seeing just that I just had girls putting STEAM to it. And just seeing those 10 girls just build anything they wanted and be able to talk about it and talk about their dreams and what they wanted to do with that and why, it was amazing. So then I had a boy steaming it up, and Shalom Lev was my only boy student who came to that club. So he came in and he made a catapult out of an old remote control car that didn't work anymore. Had no idea how he did that. And I'm like, show me again. Wait a minute, do that again. See, and it was just phenomenal. And it was just him going into this big trash pile that parents had given me things that didn't work anymore and pulling things out and going, And I never said the word catapult to him. It was something he decided on himself. So that made it even more exciting for me. So I got together with this kid who was probably in 4th grade then, I guess. And I said, hey, don't you want to start a club for Maker and let's see what happens? And he was like, okay. So we had Maker Mondays, I think it was. And every Monday he came in, and sometimes we had just him and his 2 brothers. And sometimes we had, a lot of kids come in, and sometimes he would plan something to do, or I would plan something to do. And sometimes we just left it open and we said, make whatever you want. And we had some of the most beautiful, amazing things. We had games. One time they made me this whole bulletin board, 3D bulletin board for space. And it was just really great to see their math. And again, I said, okay, let me try it in my class. So I tried it the first year and said, just make whatever you want. And of course, sometimes when you leave it open like that for kids, it becomes overwhelming because they're like, oh, too many options. Tell me something to do. So I found online and copied them, different Maker challenges, and I put them on construction paper, and I laminated them, and I put an O-ring on it. And I said, here's some ideas if you need them. So kids would go through that and look and say, we can make a new uniform for the school. Let's try that. So they started designing their own uniforms. Somebody else read something about creating like a zip line, and she goes, well, I have this hamster and it's way over there and I want to play with it, but I'm in my bed, but I don't want to get up to get it or to put it back. So I'm going to make this like a zip line, but not so fast. And I'm going to make it go up there and come back. And I said, oh, okay. And she really did make it. I don't think it really worked for the hamster, but she made it in class. And it was so cool to have this pulley system where she could send the hamster out and back. We had jewelry boxes. We had jewelry. We had all kinds of things. And afterwards, I asked the kids, tell me what you think about this. Give me honest feedback, because I need to know, should I do this again or no? And they said, yes, we love this because we got to make the choices and it was really up to us. So I said, yeah, okay, so let's see if we turn it into social studies. And the kids, the first year, I'm like, okay, so 5th grade, you're studying about the 13 colonies, make the 13 colonies. And they said, how? And I said, I don't know. What do you think? So some of them made like the map of the 13 colonies. Some of them made different parts of the 13 colonies. Everybody made something about the 13 colonies, and they'd explain it and tell each other what they made and why. The fourth grade, we're studying Spanish missions. So we look through our social studies book to find what each Spanish mission had in common. And then they created their own Spanish missions. They worked in groups because sometimes it's not so easy to make the whole thing yourself. And it also brings a whole nother level of cooperation and communication. And it was really just phenomenal. That year, third grade was working on a robotics thing. So I don't think they made they did the maker unit that year. I expanded it to second grade, and they did maps and globes. And I said, you got to make something to teach us about maps and globes. So I had some kids who made like mobiles. I had a group that took an old box that we had and turned it into a computer. And I had an old computer keyboard. So they put the keyboard at the bottom, they put the box as the monitor, and they got my paper, my roll of paper, and they wrote the things out, and then they scrolled it across the screen, and they would say, oh, let me look up what a globe means. And they typed the word globe, and then they pulled the answer over. And one whole class decided they just wanted to write a play. That was their whole thing. And everybody wanted to write a play. And I said, well, then let's write a play. And they did, and they performed it, and it was great. So Maker became part of our world at that time because the kids, again, after that one said, hey, we like this because we got to decide. And if we messed up on it, we didn't fail. You didn't get mad if we messed up. You just said, okay, what are you going to do now? And they really liked taking that ownership. So Maker became part of not only my class, but other classes as well. So we had a first grade teacher who had an extra 30 minutes somehow after lunch and before her next special, which was PE. So she had a maker time. And she had a little area of her room, and kids would go and get stuff and they would just make. They were games. They remade the games into other things. There was different fabric, and they got to try to make something out of that. She just had odds and ends, and they came up with what they wanted to do. And it's just truly been beautiful to watch. So right here, I have my units that I'm working on right now. We use Mystery Science as our curriculum. Not real fond of it, but I don't know a lot about it. I just got handed, here's your science, and you can make with it, and you can do Legos, and you can do robotics, have fun, but socially distanced. So I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? So with my third grade, with Flower Power, we're learning about the plants and how things grow. So we are actually taking some, I wanted to make something artistic, or I wanted my students to make something artistic. So we're actually taking some fake flowers, and we're going to be making art with them to show the different parts of the flower. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm hoping for the best, but we'll see. We're going to look at life cycles. I have kids, this is we do a lot of sketch noting. This is one from geometry, and we watched the video and sketch noted it. So as students this week in third grade, in one of my third grade classes, as we read a book about pollination, they're drawing out what they're hearing to help them remember it a little better. There's some other activities in there as well that you could use for different pollination. We have some Kahoot, we have different brain pops or vocabularies, and lots of fun things included. Please take a look, grab whatever you need. Fourth grade is studying energy. So we started off, I didn't start where Mystery Science starts. I skipped ahead and now I'm going backwards because we were at home for the first 2 weeks. And so they made a chain reaction at home. And they could use anything that they wanted to find. And some kids, of course, struggled with this. How do I start this? So I made one and showed them myself several times. We watched the videos. We found my school had actually won a Rube Goldberg project for our middle school, high school. Girls had done it a few years back. So I pulled that video, and they were able to finally start seeing and like, oh, if I use this, and I not just, and then they flew with it. And now we're going back to the beginning part and we're moving forward. But one of the things that we're also going to do at school with the energy is they're going to make like a domino chain reaction. I don't have the money in our budget to buy dominoes for every student. And we can't share them because we're socially distanced across the room. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be bringing in boxes from their house, cereal boxes, Little Debbie boxes, Jell-O boxes, aluminum foil boxes, that's what that one is, And they're going to bring 4 to 5 boxes, and they're going to set up a chain reaction on their desk and watch what happens, make it go from smallest to largest, largest to smallest, and just see what happens. And then my goal, because that's still a few weeks away, is when they go to recess that day, they'll all take their boxes outside and set up a chain reaction outside where they have all the boxes from all of 4th grade, hopefully, and if not, just their class from 4th grade. And we're also going to be building a roller coaster. And I don't necessarily follow the mystery science. They give you a lot of folded paper to do things with. And I'm more like, hey, here's some paper. Go figure out how to make a roller coaster out of this. So we'll see how it works. And there's also in 3rd and 4th grade, there are some Iron Chef protocols in there. Iron Chef protocol is one of the Edu protocols. And it's where you give kids just a short amount of time to study up on something, and they have to learn a certain number of facts or a certain thing about a topic. And then they create their slide in the group slideshow. and then they have to present in like 1 minute. So it's a very time restricted activity. So in 3rd grade, they're actually going to be looking at different careers, because even though I'm not teaching social studies anymore, I'm still going to add it in. So they're going to be looking at some careers that include agriculture. Each student's going to be given a different career. There's some set facts that they have to learn, and they have to put in a picture. And we've been working on slides with them anyway, so they should be able to do this pretty well. In 4th grade, they're going to be looking at the different kinds of energy, alternative energy, solar power, wind power, water power, looking at those different things to create their Iron Chef. 5th grade is ecosystems. And I absolutely am excited to death about the project that they're going to do. They're going to create an ecosystem. And the first question they're going to ask me, of course, when we get to that point is how? And I'm going to say, I don't know. They hate it when I say that. And they go, oh, why can't you just tell us what to do? And I say, because I don't know you enough to know. I'm not in your brain. I can't read you. Now, I know some of them are going to want to use technology. And I'm going to say, great. Here's a couple of things you might want to think about. And I know some of them are going to want to paint, because I have some very artistic kids. And I'm going to say, great. Don't forget to include. I also have some ideas on there, like a shoebox diorama. I have like mobiles, whatever they want to do. They can create it any way that they want. They get to choose which habitat, which ecosystem that they want to do. And then I've told them this needs to be included. Here's some other things that might be good. And they have to work through it. We have a lot of other things included in there as well, with I love game-based learning, which is another thing I'm going to talk to you about. But there's some games in there. There's some Flocabulary. One of the things that Flocabulary has now is Lyric Lab. And we've been experimenting with that actually. And I think every grade level has done it already. Yeah, every grade level has worked on a Flocabulary Lyric Lab. And that's where they write their own poem or song or rap about the topic. And Flocabulary gives them the words and gives them rhyming words for wherever they're at that they can rhyme. And it doesn't have to rhyme, but it can. And then when they finish, they take their work and they record it on Flipgrid. And I made it a moderated Flipgrid, something else I'll talk to you about soon in another slide. But I really did make this a moderated Flipgrid so that students would be more comfortable, because not every kid wants to sing or rap or even read a poem that they wrote in front of everyone. So moderated means I can see it, but the other students can't unless they give me permission to make it public. But then the music teacher walked in when I was teaching this and talking about it. And she's like, I want to see them too. So I'm going to add her as a co-pilot on my Flipgrid so that she can see the work that the kids have done as well. So those are our current projects. If at any time you're going over a new idea and you're like, what can I do? What can I do? Please feel free to email me and ask me. I say this every time I give any kind of presentation, and people really do email me and ask me, and I go, oh, well, yeah, that's a great tool. Here's some things I have about it. And then they'll say, well, what else could I use? And so I'll give them some other ideas. So please feel free to contact me at any time. I would love to give you some ideas and to brainstorm with you. So here's some tech things. Now, my maker unit, sometimes I tell the kids no tech. It all has to be hands-on, just hands-on. There are some kids who are frustrated with that. And there are sometimes that we do tech projects and I go, no hands-on. And there are some kids who are frustrated with that. So I often will try to let them just pick whatever, depending on what we're doing at the time. So here's some tech tools that we use quite often that I think are pretty great. The first one is Doink. Now, normally Doink is the only thing I've ever asked my school to pay for on our iPads. I've never had an app that we purchased before, because I either use a free version or I find something else that will do the same thing. But Doink is so phenomenal that we paid for it when it was $2.99 each, and I had a set of 20 iPads, so we bought 20 licenses and put it on there. I think it's a great program. It's easy. It's like 4 steps. I tell people that by teaching, up to, I teach, 6th grade levels, up to 400 students a week. I don't have time to do anything that's going to take a lot of time to teach kids how to do. And basically when I give them one, I'll just say, here are the steps, and I demonstrate it. And then I say, now go play with it. And then they'll ask each other, because they know that I won't tell them the answer. Then they start helping each other, trying to figure out any steps that they've forgotten. Doink is great. They actually have a great Twitter account too, if you want to follow them and get they retweet a lot of teachers who use them. And there's one that this guy would climbed in the TV the other day, and I'm like, I got to do that. I have to do that. I actually have a green screen behind me. So that's why my virtual background stays so good, because I do have a green screen behind me, because I use green screens all the time. So I grabbed this one to hang up on my wall. You can also do Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark actually has a lot of different things you can do with it. So I'm going to go there right now, just so I can show you some of the things that Adobe Spark has, if it was going to, and it might not. So here we go. Now, Adobe Spark has some free, has some paid versions. I pay for Adobe Spark myself, just because I really want to use a lot of the features that they have. And my internet's a little slow, so I'll just tell you about it. With Adobe Spark, you can make movies, you can make websites, you can make collages, and they even have Facebook and Instagram posts. Now, I love that Facebook or Instagram post, because I'm not going to let my kids go post something on Facebook or Instagram. But because it's social media, kids are like, oh, I want to do that. So that's one way to get them excited about sharing their learning, by saying, hey, we're doing a Facebook wall. Go do your post on the Facebook wall, and then they can share it with you. And you can make a wall online, or you can do the actual physical wall behind you. That's what I do. I made a physical wall for our storybook characters, and we literally had a wall. It was a huge bulletin board in the hallway, and we put up our characters. We talked about our characters and who they were and what they were thinking. And then we had also a Twitter, except I didn't use Facebook because I didn't want to be sued. So I called it Fake Book. And then instead of Twitter, we used a growler. And instead of tweets, it was GRRS. And that was for the evil character in our storybooks that we were reading. So you can create those posts, print them out, hang them up, or have a virtual wall where kids can look at it. They're using something that they love, right? But they're also doing it in a safe way, because I worry about kids posting, and our kids aren't even supposed to have, in lower school, they're not supposed to have those accounts, even if they might. Animation. Google Slides and Google Photos can allow you to make animations. It's part of your Google Suite if you have Google. If you don't, you just sign up for an account for free, and it's part of what you have. Stickbot is a free app where you can make animations. Actually, the same kid that did the Maker unit with me, the Maker Club with me, he introduced Stickbot to me back when we were doing Maker. He was like, look what my cousin showed me. And I loved it, and it was free, so even better. You can make animations. It even has a green screen built in. It's easy, again, super easy to do. I teach kids in a matter of 5 minutes how to do it, all the way down through 2nd grade. 1st grade takes a little longer sometimes, but all the way down to 2nd grade, I teach them in 5 minutes, and then I walk away and they start doing it, and it's beautiful and amazing. PicCollage. I use PicCollage a lot with kids to get them to make those collages. Let's say kindergarten, we were walking around taking pictures at our school of numbers or shapes, and then we put them together on PicCollage. It's just a way for them to show their learning and to look around. So one of the things I'm going to show you in a few minutes here on another slide is we were looking at angles and obtuse and acute and right angles and looking for that kind of stuff. We also did perimeter and area using Pic Collage before. And then AR, VR, huge topic right now in education is using AR and VR in class. This is a Padlet that I created that has AR, VR things for every subject and then general topics as well. If you're on Twitter, I highly recommend that you join the AR, VR and EDU chat. It's Jamie Donnelly. She has amazing content that she shares out. She has some great stuff for free. And of course, there's always some paid stuff too that will be shared, and just great resources. Okay, let's see. Oh. All right. So the next one is game-based. I love doing games. Today, one of my fourth grade classes had finished early with they had catch up because during the first 2 weeks of online learning, we just needed some more time to get finished with some things. So this was a catch up week, and some of them finished their catch up early. And I said, well, here is a Quizlet that you can play. And they just, I couldn't figure out what they were doing because their teacher couldn't figure out how to turn the sound on at first. So I'm watching them and I see them looking at each other and and I'm like, are you guys working? And I can't hear them. And finally somebody came in and fixed it so I could hear them. And what they're doing is, I got it in 7. I got 10 right. And I was like, oh, okay. They're doing the Quizlet. I've actually done a game-based presentation before, and so it is here, and you can look through it to see other types of games that you might want to use. And I have some examples. This is a pollination Kahoot, and this is the pollination Quizlet that I'm actually using with my 3rd grade in the coming weeks. So those are some. I use the free version of Quizlet. You can pay for it, but I use the free version. I paid for Kahoot for myself. Just because I was making some longer Kahoots that I wanted more features. One of the best things that we did last year at the end of our school year was I emailed the teachers and said, hey, send me a picture of when you were a baby or when you were a kid. And so they sent me pictures and I made a Kahoot and put the picture in there. And I wrote a little poem that goes with it. Like, she teaches in 4th grade. She's kind and happy. Wherever you walk, you'll see her snappy. I don't know, something like that. And then I had all the teachers get together one night. I've never seen this many teachers get together at a night when they could not have come, but we had about 45 teachers joined together and we played the Kahoot together, and they were mad at each other. They were like, I'm beating you. How did you miss that? That was me. And it was hilarious to watch. And the next week, we had EC through 2nd grade who played together and 3rd through 5th grade who played together. And it was a family game night. So the families came in, and a lot of our families, because we're a private school and we are a generational school, we have a lot of parents who were students at our school. And we have a lot of teachers who are still there from when they were students. So they were like, oh my God, I know who that is. And they were so excited again. And the kids got excited because they were like, that's my teacher. So that was one of the best things that we did. And another thing that I loved, Kahoot, I went to their Kahoot camp or whatever they called it. And when you get a job at Kahoot, you have to make a Kahoot selfie, which is a Kahoot about yourself, and share it with the people on your team so they can get to know you better. And I absolutely love that. So that's one of the things that I encourage all of our teachers to do at the beginning of this year, is have the kids create a Kahoot selfie. If you don't want the kids to create their own Kahoot account, okay, they can send you questions about themselves, or they can make it on Google Slides or PowerPoint, and you could do it that way. All right. And Quizlet is great because, I mean, there are Quizlets for everything. People from college students. In fact, I was talking to someone getting ready for the game-based presentation. I'm explaining the person who is over that presentation. And I'm going through the thing and talking about Quizlet. She said, my daughter's on Quizlet right now. She's in college. She's over there finding all the different study cards for her college for Quizlet. And I'm like, yeah, it's because it's that great. I played Quizlet live with my, I have a special math class that I teach as well. And I played Quizlet live with them last week. And they love Kahoot and they begged for a Kahoot. And I said, well, I have a Quizlet live. Let's try that. And they were sold. We played the individual game, and then we also played it team-based. and they didn't do so well on the team-based. And they said, but it's just because we need to work better together. That's all. It's just because we need to work better together. We'll better this next time. So it was, and they wanted to stay on. They stayed on 5 or 10 extra minutes after class was over. Even though they could have gone, it was Friday afternoon, they could have headed off into the sunset. They wanted to stay and keep playing. So that lets you know that something is effective. All right. So collaboration. Science is a great place for collaboration because you've got these topics where you have experts in the field doing the work who can help you. So that's, I'm bringing in some experts in landscaping. We have a landscape architect as one of our parents. We have some electrical engineers. So I'm trying to bring in those experts in the field to talk to our students, not only to give them that connection to real life, but also that career connection so that they can start thinking of things that they maybe want to be when they grow up. You can collaborate across classes. I teach 3 to 4 classes per grade level, collaborating across the classes because the kids always want to do projects with their friends who aren't in that class. So allowing them to figure that out and set that up is great. Across grade levels, right now, the 3rd grade is doing flower power. 2nd grade is also doing a unit on flowers. I don't teach that class, but I got in touch with them and said, what are you teaching next in science? And they said, oh, we're doing flowers. Oh, so are we. So we're going to be able to collaborate that way. Collaborating across schools. One of the best things I did was with Flipgrid. And if you don't know what Flipgrid is, I highly encourage you to go check it out. It is a video program that you can use in your class. It's protected. Nobody can get into it unless you've given them the codes, and students can share their learning verbally and talk about it. They can also share their screens now. There's a lot of great things that they've added onto it. And I was doing a 4th grade project, and the students were creating amusement parks to teach Florida history. And that was our PBL that year. And the students were okay. They weren't okay. They weren't really good at giving each other feedback. When somebody would present, they would go, oh yeah, that was good. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. No, they didn't even say the purpose of their project. So we connected with a school in California with students who were in 6th grade. And my students would create a video and on the Flipgrid, and then their partners in the 6th grade would go in and watch it and then give them feedback. And they were using words like, here's low for you. Here's a grow for you. And at first my kids were like, what is that? But then they started picking up on it. So by the end of that unit, by the end of that PBL, my 4th graders were going, hey, you know what? Here's a glow. I noticed that you kept really good eye contact when you were giving your presentation. But here's a grow. I noticed that you didn't say much about the social studies, the history that you were teaching. You just mainly talked about your ride that you were making. So maybe before the final presentation, you might want to add that in. I was blown away. So there's something called Grid Pals that you can go into Flipgrid and connect with schools everywhere. And I highly recommend looking into that. It was a great experience. So Skype with a Scientist, it's a free program. They have some that are recorded that you can watch at any time. There's a Jane Goodall one that's recorded that you can watch at any time. There's others, of course, but she was the first one I saw. And she's Jane Goodall, so I had to remember that. And then there are some that they do live as well. I had a group of 5th graders who really wanted to do the brain one that was earlier this month. And the times didn't work out for us that we could go and watch it. And but they were so excited to learn more about the brain. Another way to collaborate, besides Flipgrid, we use Flipgrid quite a bit to collaborate. I've had school-wide Flipgrids where they share what they're reading. We did thank you to our teachers as a surprise for the teachers. The students made little thank you videos on a Flipgrid, and then we put them together and made a whole video for the teachers to see. Lots of tears while I was making that one. It was beautiful. And then we had parents do it as well. We shared the Flipgrids across grade levels and across the school, just different ways. And again, like I said, with Grid Pals, you can share it amongst the world if you wanted to. And I can't really say enough good things about Flipgrid, just a little commercial for them too. I have a student in math who, when he's in class, he doesn't really say much because the other kids in class are so like at 100 and he's like at 10. And so I'm never really sure if he understood. And then we had a Flipgrid where he was supposed to go look at a measuring cup and tell me what he thought about fractions after looking at the half and the third and the fourth. And he made the most amazing Flipgrid about that. And I was like, oh, he gets it. Okay. And then he made a Flipgrid. He made his Flipgrid using Minecraft to show me how he was learning arrays. And I had no clue that he was doing this. And it was amazing to watch. So it gives that quiet kid that time to speak. I really highly recommend Flipgrid. We also collaborate using Padlets. So I have a few different Padlets here. This is an angle hunt that we looked around our house to find angles. This is an engineering challenge that I did with an after school class. And they would post their work each week to tell where they were on their engineering challenge. And they were building a solar oven and some other things, but this is where they were at each time. And then this last one is a robotics one for our Lego robotics program that we do in 4th grade. We have a Jewish Day School League that we compete in. And the students were in charge of that robotics Padlet. The students picked different jobs, and some of them chose to be the writers and the social media directors. That's what they were called. And they would walk around and take pictures and say, what are you doing? And then they would post what the people were doing so that parents could see and that other classes could see what each group was working on. So that's something you can take a look at as well for collaboration. We also I share Padlets with the families of my students, because that's an easy way to post work to the Padlet so they can see it and see everything that we're doing. Literacy. I love books. Books are my favorite thing in the world. And my husband is not really happy all the time that books are my favorite thing, because I keep getting more and more of them. And I have a ton on my iPad, but it doesn't matter. But I am my mother's daughter and I am my grandmother's granddaughter, because they are the exact same way. I have a Padlet right here. This is a STEAM and literacy Padlet, and it has books for every letter of STEAM, along with activities that you can do for each book. Some are maker, some are technology, some are both. Another great literacy thing for STEM, this is Daily STEM. Chris Woods is his name. He has a podcast that is amazing. He has a website that's truly phenomenal. This is linked to his website, but he also produces a weekly newsletter for students on STEM. And it's always new. Every Monday, I believe, is when it comes out. And he just really tries to pull in kids into STEM, and it's great. But any book can have a science connection. This is one of my favorite books. I send this book to every kid in my family when they turn 2. It's called Giraffes Can't Dance. I send it to them because my mom's favorite animal is a giraffe. And they all bring the book and then they go read it with Aunt Jean. So, that's important to me to make that connection for her and to give kids a book that they can read. And I also love this book because it's about a giraffe who thinks he can't dance. And he goes to the big jungle party. He tries to dance and he doesn't do a good job. And so he walks away crying because people have said, oh, not so good. But then he meets this cricket who says, hey, it's just because you don't have the right song. And the cricket plays him a different song. And then suddenly he becomes this amazing dancer. So it's about, not giving up and keeping on trying and trying something different if it doesn't work the first time. Well, this is science. It's animals that live in a jungle. And, when you learn about food chains and then you look at this and see all the different animals that are there together, doesn't sound quite right. You can also say, giraffes, largest mammal in the world, let's research. Let's find out what they eat. Let's find out what they need. Let's find out how much they sleep, which I happen to know. They only sleep like 2 to 4 hours a day. And they spend a lot of the rest of their time eating leaves. And so I only know that because I got to have a Zoom with a giraffe for my mom's birthday this year. But so I learned a lot of facts about giraffes. But you can turn any book. So this is Fred the Tree. This book, now my green screen's showing up here, you can see that. This is actually a book from the Keys. And it's about the Florida Keys and how on the 7 Mile Bridge, there is a tree called Fred. And it talks about the life of Fred and how the storms came through and Fred was still standing. So this makes a great connection to Florida. So you 4th grade social studies teachers, Florida history right here. And I bought this at the Hemingway House in Key West. I don't know if you can find it elsewhere, but I recommend it highly because it really was a great book. But then you talk about the life cycle of trees. You talk about what this tree needs to survive and how this tree is right on the ocean and it's getting battered. How does it stay up? Roots. And how deep do you think those roots must go to make it stay up through hurricanes? And so it leads you to a lot of different discussions, and it's completely a great book, and it will gain kids' attention because they know, hey, Florida, that's where I live. And it gives you a lot of science and other topics to teach as well. And then I have, like I said, I have a whole shelf over there of books. So, and this is just the ones that are here, not counting in my classroom. This is Spaghetti and Meatballs for All, a mathematical story. And this one is great because I used this for arrays when I was teaching arrays, because the family is inviting everybody over for dinner and they're setting up a seating chart for their dinner. And they have to make sure that everybody can sit. And then they start, and then people start moving the tables, and the mother is like, oh my gosh, we're not gonna have enough food. And okay, calm down. And then they have too many people. People show up when they didn't RSVP. And what are you going to do? And how many meatballs are you going to have? And how much pasta do you need? It's just great. So many connections. Cooking is a great one to do with this. And then you say, hey, how can you cook without really cooking, without baking? How can we bake without an oven? And then you figure out ways that you can cook without heat. Solar ovens comes to mind. And then this is a great one, Be a Maker. I love this book. It has amazing illustrations. It has great ideas, and it teaches kids to just try things and just get out there and make it if you have to. Make what you want to make. And then, of course, Andrea Beattie's books, The Iggy Peck Architect and Sue Revere Engineer. All of her series are phenomenal. And she even has the scientist one. I'm not gonna be able to read it from over here, but the scientist one is about to come out. Ada Twist, Scientist, that's it. It's about to come out as a cartoon. It's going to be a TV series, so definitely check that out. Those are great ways to get kids interested in science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and reading and trying things, and failing and learning from those failures. That's my favorite part, is the learning from failures. Rubrics, how do we grade this stuff? So my PBL works right here. This is the PBL website, to beat all websites. And they have, you can search, you can join it for free. And then you can search their site for rubrics. And they have rubrics for all different grade level bands, for presentations, for projects, for all kinds of different things. They have the best rubrics. And if it doesn't necessarily work for your topic, you can still take their rubric and modify it for your topic, and then have a way to grade. You can also make your own at Rubistar, Rubric Maker, and there's plenty more that you can use. But I try, when I make rubrics for science, I am not grading for their language, for writing complete sentences. I'm judging their work based on science. Yes, they need to use capital letters and punctuation. I said that today in my science class with them as they were posting to a Padlet, and they had 4 different creative writing topics about energy in 4th grade. And hey guys, you got to use your capital letters, you got to use your periods, but I'm not grading for that when we do projects, because I'm grading for their science knowledge, not for the fact that they can write. I grade them based on their presentation. Not that they've got, it's beautiful and perfect and everything is measured out directly, but in their presentation, did they tell me what I need to know? So these 2 sites will help you create your rubric to grade. That's where I find inspiration. We just had Global Maker Day, this first one right here. It was last Tuesday, but the recordings are on the website. This is linked to the website. And you can see it's really a whole day's worth of maker activities that are for every subject. There was a no baking one. That's why I thought of that one. There's a no baking one that Katie led. Mine is on there too. I did one for math, making math fun. And we had Deaf Kids Code presented. We had people from India present. We had people from all over the place presented. Stanley Black & Decker presented, which reminds me, if you have 1 day left, 2 days left in this month. If you tweet or go on Instagram and you share out something that you have made and you hashtag Maker Month, giveaway. You can be entered to win a free toolkit from Stanley Black & Decker. Yay! I've tweeted a lot. Still trying. This is a tech tools guide. So it's something that I made for our teachers that we worked on over this summer. You are free to take and use however you would choose and share it however you would like. Melissa Hayes, I follow her on Twitter, and she posts weekly STEM projects. So this is a playground STEM project that she posted. Just some great content. Renee Wells, I make with recycling. So I follow her, and I keep all of her stuff, and I write it down. I'm like, oh, I can use that. Because I like to make things out of things that we are just going to be, getting rid of. But if we can take that recycling and turn it into something else, then it's even better. And then Chris Woods, who I shared with you, Daily STEM, just an amazing guy. This is his website as well. Here are two things I found on Twitter today, 2 hours with this presentation. So this one on the top is a Lego challenge for the month. Each day there's a different Lego challenge. I think that's just phenomenal. It's like a bingo board, and you get to make with Lego. And then this is cardboard tubes. Now this one happens to be on Baby Dragons. This is Twitter, which will take you to his website. And he has cardboard challenges for everything. It's just really phenomenal what he has available. And also on Global Maker Day, my middle school students presented on their cardboard arcades that they are making. So that's all I have to share with you today. I saw that there were a few questions coming up on the chat. So let's see. Let's see. Yes, the feedback is there. Amy says that there's a writing contest that starts on Monday with Adobe Spark and Wakelet. I can't wait to check that out. That's going to be great. The author's name, Bev. I'm not sure which author it was. Sorry, you'll have to tell me which author it was, and then or what book it was, and then I'll be glad to share with you what it was. Yes, Amy, I will put the link to the presentation in the chat as well. Give me 2 seconds here. Are there any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself, ask questions, let me know what you're thinking. Anybody? And like I said, if you're working on if you're doing earth science, I don't know, physical science, chemical science, that's not really a science, but is chemicals, whatever. If you are working on anything and you're like, hey, I wish I could figure out, a project, something the kids can make with this, I will be happy to email with you and talk to you about what you are trying to do, and give you some ideas, and we can bounce ideas off of each other. I would love to do that. So feel free to email me at any time. Yes, the resources are provided. I put the link in here, and I believe it'll also be on the FAST website. All right, Amy?
The video will be posted, so make sure that you get the link so that way you can go back and go through all of that, because there was a lot of them. And then the author was for the tree, and so that was Lee Guest.
Yes, Lee Guest.
All right, any other questions? This was wonderful. You're always a huge resource of all kinds of STEM and science, and so it's wonderful to follow you.
I tried.
On the feedback form, it says like somebody to follow. This is somebody to follow. So what, can you put your information in the chat of like how to follow you?
Sure, I'm going to put it in the chat. I am at Pinchavable on Twitter and Instagram. Either way, you can follow me at either place. And then Nancy, and then my website, I put that for the link for the resources. That's where my slideshow is. I'll also put my blog. And then my email, I'll put that in here too. And you can feel free, if you just Google Nancy Pinchev, you'll find me. Somebody told me one time, brand yourself. Don't use your school name and everything, brand yourself. So that's what I started doing. And that way it's been a lot easier. So I can just say Nancy Pinchev. It's not easy to say sometimes. It's not easy to type, but
You can find me. There you go.
All right.